The text from my mother came through just as I signed the final page of the acquisition agreement. I glanced at it, suppressing a smirk. Please understand, Adriana, this is for the best. You're not welcome at the lake house this year. Ah, the lake house. The jewel of Lakeview Pines Resort. The grand, ivy-covered estate my family had cherished for over 30 years. The house I wasn't allowed in anymore. Not since I reported my uncle's fraudulent grant embezzlement to the state board. What they didn't know, what they were about to find out, is that I had just acquired everything surrounding it. How soon does the ownership transfer finalize? I asked, handing the signed contract back to my legal counsel. By 5 p.m. today, Rachel said. That includes all private estates, staff leases, access control systems, everything within the Lakeview Pines Resort perimeter. Excellent, I replied. Begin the update to all access cards, no exceptions. I tapped the screen on my phone and read the message again. My family had spent every summer, Thanksgiving, and milestone birthday at that house. Being banned from it was their version of exile, but for me, it was a turning point. My sister, Laurel, texted next. Mom said you're upset. Don't be dramatic. After what you did to Uncle Martin, this is for the best. I didn't bother sugarcoating my response. What I did? You mean exposing how he stole over $300,000 from the Youth Scholarship Fund? She replied almost instantly. It was complicated. He was helping the foundation's numbers look stronger. Now he might go to prison. I set my phone down. Creative bookkeeping. They called it that. As if manipulating public donations meant for underserved kids was some harmless misstep. Ms. Wells, Rachel said, entering again with a tablet. Security is ready. Your family just checked into the lake house. Shall we begin with them? Absolutely, I said. Start with the gate codes and door access. Make sure the new owners are the only ones who can get in. I walked to the tall windows of my Manhattan office and looked out over the skyline, imagining the moment unfolding upstate. My parents unloading matching Louis Vuitton trunks. Laurel snapping selfies on the dock. Uncle Martin laughing as if he weren't under federal investigation. Then, click. Their access denied. My phone rang again. Dad. I declined the call. They'll receive the formal letters within the hour, Rachel said. All villa residents are being notified of the new owner and the new rules. Good, I said, picking up my bag. Have the car brought around, and let the pilot know I'll be wheels up in 30. Headed to Lakeview? Rachel asked. I smiled. Not to see my family. I paused at the door. To see my property. Sometimes being banned from a place doesn't mean defeat. Sometimes it just means you need to buy the whole damn thing. And sometimes family loyalty needs a firm reminder about consequences. I headed toward the private elevator in my Manhattan high-rise, already picturing their faces the moment they realized who now owned their summer kingdom. Rachel, I called over my shoulder. Make sure Uncle Martin's letter includes a very clear note about Lakeview Pines' zero-tolerance policy for financial misconduct. Let's not let integrity be misunderstood. It was time they learned what happens when you back the wrong side of the truth and underestimate the one person who always played by the rules, even when they didn't. By the time I touched down at the resort's private airstrip 3 hours later, the scene was already unfolding, just as I'd imagined it. My family stood in the Grand Lodge lobby, designer luggage stacked around them like they were royalty in exile. My father was in full meltdown mode, gesturing at the front desk with his phone raised like a sword. What do you mean our key cards don't work? He barked. This is our home. Do you even know who we are? Yes, Mr. Wells, the resort manager replied, calm and polished. And per our new security directives, access credentials have been updated under the authority of the new owner. My sister, Laurel, shrieked, New owner? Since when does Lakeview Pines have a new owner? Right on cue, a staff member stepped forward and handed each of them a sealed envelope. From the mezzanine above, I watched them tear the letters open. Mom's face blanched first. This has to be a mistake, she muttered, reading it twice. Reynolds Global Holdings? Adriana, Uncle Martin snatched his copy. It can't be. I descended the grand staircase with perfect timing. Looking for someone? I called down casually. They all turned, eyes widening, jaws slackening. Adriana, Laurel breathed, her voice shrinking. You bought the resort? My father demanded. All of it, I said with a smile. Every cabin, every lakefront villa, every amenity, including the lake house you banned me from. He stepped forward, puffing himself up like the CEO he used to be. Now see here. No, you see here, I interrupted, pausing on the last step. This is my resort now, which means new rules, new expectations, and... I nodded to the manager, who passed out a second set of documents. New agreements. These are the revised villa residency contracts, I explained. Take a moment to review the terms. You'll see we've added an ethical conduct clause. I looked directly at Uncle Martin. Anyone found engaging in financial fraud or any behavior that harms our community's integrity will face immediate eviction. You can't do this, Mom gasped, her voice cracking. The lake house has been in our family for decades. And you chose to weaponize it, I replied, calm but resolute. Now it's mine. Consider this your official reminder. Loyalty is earned, and consequences are bought. And now it's part of my side of the family, I said, smiling. The side you disowned for having a spine and morals. My phone buzzed again. Probably Laurel's husband trying to do damage control. He'd been Martin's accomplice in the grant embezzlement scheme. Not that they knew I had the bank trail to prove it, yet. Your access cards will be reactivated once you sign the new residency agreements, I continued, tone even. Assuming, of course, you pass the background checks. Background checks? Uncle Martin went pale. For villa owners? That's standard, I replied innocently. We wouldn't want any criminals enjoying this exclusive community. Laurel stepped forward, trading her haughty tone for sugary concern. Adriana, sweetie, let's just talk about this like a family. I raised an eyebrow. Like when you talked about banning me behind my back, or when you all talked about covering up Martin's theft from the Scholarship Foundation. Before she could answer, the resort manager returned. Ms. Wells, the villa reassignment paperwork is ready for signatures. Reassignment? My father's voice cracked. What reassignment? Oh, didn't I mention? I turned toward them with a deliberately calm smile. The lake house will now serve as a retreat for children from the very scholarships Uncle Martin siphoned money from. Dead silence. They'll get to spend a week here every summer, I continued, while their families receive proper support and medical aid through our new nonprofit partnership. Even Laurel couldn't object to that without looking like a villain. You're being relocated to a standard guest suite, I added. Assuming, of course, you plan to stay. I handed over the updated price list. Though you'll notice the rates have changed significantly. Mom gasped. This is highway robbery. No, Mom. Highway robbery is stealing from sick kids, I said coolly. This? I tapped the paper. This is just business. My phone buzzed again, this time with something even better. Oh, Martin? I turned to him as he fidgeted near the concierge desk. The FBI agents waiting outside would like a word with you. Something about charity fraud and interstate wire transfers. He blanched, stumbling back as if the walls were closing in. Don't bother looking for an exit, I added. I own those too. He froze. Sometimes karma needs a luxury resort to get its point across. And sometimes family loyalty means protecting the innocent, not enabling the guilty. I turned toward the glass doors, then paused. Welcome to the new Lakeview Pines Resort, I said, glancing back over my shoulder. Do enjoy your stay, however short it may be. Their faces? Absolutely priceless. Almost as priceless as the resort I bought just to teach them a lesson. Almost. 1 month later, I sat in my new office, overlooking Lakeview Pines' sapphire blue lake. The updated programs were underway, the new leadership team thriving, and every policy rooted in values they once mocked. Turns out, doing the right thing looks pretty spectacular with a beachfront view. If you believe integrity deserves a comeback, and you want to see what Adriana does next, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in her story. Uncle Martin was under house arrest, awaiting trial. The first group of children from the scholarship charities had arrived at the lake house. Their laughter carried across the resort grounds like music. Light, unfiltered, healing. Ms. Wells, my assistant, Rachel, stepped into my office with the morning briefing. Your sister Laurel is requesting another meeting. She sighed before continuing. Also, your parents have sent their 6th formal appeal about the lake house reassignment. How are they enjoying their standard suite? I asked, already knowing the answer. They've complained about the square footage, the lake view, and that their balcony overlooks the children's new playground. I smiled faintly. Good. Remind them that suite rates are due weekly, not monthly like their former arrangement. My phone buzzed. A message from Laurel. This is cruel, Adriana. Mom cried when she saw those kids playing in her garden. Her garden. I typed back. You mean the garden she once banned me from? The one paid for with stolen charity funds? Those kids deserve it more than she ever did. There was no reply. Moments later, the resort manager knocked gently and stepped in. The charity fundraiser gala is confirmed for next weekend. Several major donors have RSVP'd, some specifically because of the new children's program. Perfect, I said, pulling up the digital guest list on my tablet. Make sure my family receives invitations. Front row seats? The manager asked, amused. To watch their once sacred villa being used for actual good, I replied. They might not be able to afford to attend, she noted. The new suite fees are stretching their finances. Funny how that works, I said with a shrug. It's almost like karma charges rent. My phone rang again. This time I picked it up. Adriana, my father began. His voice lacked its usual steel. It sounded weathered. We need to talk about this situation. Which situation? I asked calmly. The one where you all banished me for telling the truth? Or the one where I turned your summer playground into a sanctuary for the very children you chose to ignore? We can make a deal, he offered quickly. Martin is prepared to make restitution. I let the silence stretch. Only because he got caught. Adriana. And now you're all living with the consequences, I cut in. How does it feel, Dad? To be the ones left out? I ended the call before he could answer. Later that afternoon, I walked down to the lake house. The transformation was breathtaking. Where once there had been cold marble floors, stiff-backed designer chairs, and lifeless modern art, now there were vibrant murals, cozy reading corners, and laughter echoing down the halls. The garden my mother had once called her sacred space now bloomed with swings, a sandbox, and picnic tables. A little girl ran past with a juice box, her giggle piercing the quiet like sunlight. I closed my eyes for a moment and breathed in the fresh mountain air. This was what the resort had always meant to be, and for once, I didn't feel like I needed my family's approval. I had something better. Purpose. Miss Wells? The voice was soft, tentative. I turned and saw a small girl standing just beyond the garden path. Sarah, one of the children currently receiving cancer treatment through the charity's wellness program. I knelt to her level. Yes, sweetheart? Thank you for letting us stay here, she whispered. I smiled and gently brushed her hair back from her face. This is your home now, Sarah, for as long as you need it. From the corner of my eye, I saw movement on the balcony of Suite 12B. My parents, my sister Laurel, watching. Laurel held up her phone, clearly recording the moment, probably for another appeal or some last-ditch PR stunt. "Send them the weekly invoice," I said to Rachel, who had quietly joined me. "And include a note about our new policy. All suite payments now go directly to the Children's Medical Fund." Rachel nodded. "Also, your mother's been trying to access the spa again. Claims her membership is still valid." "It was," I replied, "until we reassigned it to the children's caregivers. They need the rest more than she does." I stood, surveying the grounds of what had once been my family's exclusive haven. Now it was my instrument of justice. Quiet, steady, and healing. The private beach was lined with colorful umbrellas and soft mats where therapists led yoga sessions and sand therapy with the children. The once exclusive 5-star restaurant now served healthy meals to pediatric medical teams and families, free of charge. My phone buzzed again. A message from the FBI. They'd uncovered additional evidence in Uncle Martin's files, this time connecting Laurel's husband directly to the financial misconduct. Wire transfers, fabricated invoices, bribed auditors. I turned to Rachel. "Send an eviction notice to Laurel's suite, effective immediately." She didn't blink. "On what grounds?" "Ethical conduct clause," I said firmly. "Also, notify security. They'll need to be present when the agents arrive with the arrest warrant." As Rachel walked away, I paused, watching Laurel disappear behind the glass doors, unaware her entire world was about to shrink. Sometimes revenge isn't just about taking something away. Sometimes it's about turning it into everything they tried to keep from others. I walked slowly back toward my office, passing the brand new sign that now stood proudly at the resort entrance. Lakeview Pines Children's Hope Center, where luxury meets love. And beneath it, in smaller etched letters, funded by the Wells family fortune, whether they like it or not. I never set out to become the owner of a luxury resort or the executor of poetic justice. All I ever wanted was to do the right thing, even when it cost me my seat at the family table. But the truth is, sometimes you have to walk away from comfort to stand up for your principles. And sometimes, if life doesn't give you a seat, you build the entire table. If you've ever been silenced for speaking the truth, if you've ever been cast out for standing up to power, or if you've ever been underestimated by the people who should have known your worth, this story is for you. And if you believe in turning pain into purpose, I invite you to subscribe, to walk this journey with me, and to be part of something that reminds people. Integrity is never wasted. Drop a comment below. What would you say to someone like me? Would you have done what I did? Or maybe you've faced your own version of a family who didn't believe in you until it was too late. I'd love to hear your story. And here's something I've learned that might help you too. Doing the right thing won't always feel rewarding in the moment, but it builds the kind of strength that lasts. Wealth can be inherited, influence can be faked. But character? That's earned, decision by decision. Let's keep rewriting what success looks like, not just for us, but for every child, every fighter, every truth teller who's been told they're too much for daring to be good. Subscribe to follow the next chapter. And remember, doing good isn't weakness. It's power with purpose.